logically within the context of the whole town and where you have the ability to grow. I think the land use plan, and it's been several months since I looked at it, but it actually identified a more intense use, residential use for this site, more like a multifamily or a senior housing. Those were some of the uses that they recommended. So when we looked at it, we didn't say this is what we want, take it or leave it. We came in and we met with some representatives of the town, including the mayor and the mayor pro tem, and we talked about what do you see this site as. This is kind of what we see. We can meet your goal of getting you a little bit more density in this tract because it's a nice buffer area from the commercial to the larger estate product that you have south of Turbeville and then further to the west. So we thought that this would be a good middle ground for you guys to transition from those intense uses to the more estate feel and get closer to your goal of getting to home rule. So we heard good things when we sat down and talked, and it kind of fit in within the comprehensive land use plan. We want to make sure that that wasn't just some crazy consultant that wrote about 4-story, 5-story mid-rises in Hickory Creek happening in 5 years. So we got the sense that this is the type of development that the town wanted, and obviously we're going through the process now and seeing and getting your feedback. But when you ask the question about other planned districts within the town, I'm not sure in terms of their location whether that's a really good comparison to this particular site, because it's very well located where you can actually, what we like about the site is that 3 years from now, 2 years from now, when there's residents in there, they can walk from the site over to your retail centers over there. And so, people in Texas don't really like to walk, but I think there's studies out there that show if it's within about half a mile or 3/4 of a mile, they'll make that walk. So that was the idea. I think that it was in the town's interest to get more density in some areas, and this is a perfect location for it. So that's why we moved forward with this concept plan. And we thought about going in with 50-foot lots, but we just thought that that was going to be a little bit too out of character for this area. And we think this is this isn't really a proven home building market in terms of what will work and what won't work. And I'm not sure anywhere in the country right now is really proven, but we think that this lot size is pretty appropriate for this location. We think that the houses that we plan to build here are also going to be appropriate. So that's why you didn't see, when we sat down with the town, we said, do you need big park space or would you rather have the density here? And he said, I don't want to quote the mayor out of context, but what I think we heard at the time was that they wanted to get density here, but the right kind of density, So we went forward under that concept, and obviously now we're here getting some feedback from you guys. And to finish that point out, Tim mentioned it in his introduction and maybe got lost, but the actual base zoning district for R3, I think, is a 9,000 square foot minimum. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Our average lot size is going to be 8877. If you take from the smallest to the largest and average them out, and the smallest one's only at 7415 basically square feet. So it's not a 5,000 square foot lot, it's not a 6,000 square foot lot. It's still 62 feet wide by at least 120 feet. So that's how we ended up with this one.
Have you taken a look at some of the possible stormwater drainage impact from the site?
We have. I visited with James in regard to that. We're kind of working through that. We're kind of in the preliminary stages right now, and I think a lot of that will get addressed during the construction document stage. We have looked at that. As far as Mr. Ball is concerned, he had expressed the concern about the drainage and the retention facility that's out here. There's a fairly small amount of stormwater that naturally drains over there, and the way we're designing it, we're going to either we will not exceed the amount that's going there today during a 100-year event. So we're planning on reducing that flow that actually goes into that pond, which would be a combination of what gets into Long Reagan Drive, or Avenue, I'm sorry, and then directly into the pond, because everything that gets in Long Reagan gets into the pond and then gets on Mr. Wall's property. So our plan at this point, we discussed this with Half Associates, is to
Talking about this area around here?
yes, sir, and further to the south as well, that area that drains back there. So we've been communicating about that, and we may be able to address that a little bit further on our discussions. But the plan is not to increase the flow over to the pond, which ultimately would, potentially increase the flow downstream. So yes, we have looked at that. Many of the systems in the town right now are undersized. So, it goes without saying that when development comes, there's going to have to be improvements. The culverts are typically undersized at all locations. They were based on different standards years back. The standards are being upgraded to current standards, which, some of those improvements will have to be made as development's going to. So we are looking at that right now. That's part of what we'll be doing in much greater detail when we do the final design.
Any other questions or comments?
I'd like to know, I have a question. You're building on top of all this property, you're going to have drainage on the houses. The drainage is going to drain down streetways, not around where you, how do you propose it's not going to fill our pond up?
Oh, right up here?
Or over Mr. Wall's property? Because you don't have any soil anymore to observe the moisture. It's-
Right. Naturally, there's a certain area that drains there now, and while I just use a simple example, it might be 5 acres that drains toward the pond, toward Ronald Reagan Avenue, and ultimately get on Mr. Wall's property downstream. Well, what we're going to do is, when you develop you're right, the impervious area increases.
Right.
There's rooftops that didn't absorb it, and it creates more runoff. And so what we would do is we would reduce the area that would drain that way. So we would drain it another direction to a different system that's further to the west. There's another system that's off to the west that crosses Turkey, on Mr. Wall's property. So it would basically go that direction. So essentially what we're doing is we're going to reduce the amount of area that drains that way, which ultimately it'll end up equal amounts of flow, or less than what it is today during the 100-year event. Everything's kind of based on the 100-year event.
Are you trying to suggest that with the changes, about half the water will flow towards the detention pond? Is that what you're thinking at this point?
No, it will be ultimately a similar amount of water will get to that detention facility, either directly from the back of those lots through the town hall property. It naturally drains onto the town hall property right now. You can look at those contours and I don't know if you can read those contours or not, how they're labeled, but everything falls from, the high point is on the north, and then everything drops as you go south, and there's kind of a saddle high point. I could point it out to you if you like on the piece of paper.
If it reaches to the west, it is a flood.
Let me show you here. Actually, on the contour sheet, it won't show on that. If you look at this one sort of sheet, those contours. There's a high point. You can see right here. Here's kind of the high point. And you see it runs right over this and kind of comes up here. So this area, let's just draw a line through here. See that whole ridge, that's a ridge line. Everything on this side of it falls this way into Ronald Reagan Town Hall property, and all of it is in the pond. So what we're doing is we're actually reducing the area that gets there, but it's an equivalent amount of water during the pre-development conditions and post-development conditions, if that makes sense. really, the simplest way I can state it is we're not going to increase the flow toward that pond or down the street. Mr. Wall's property.
Mr. Chairman, James from HAP has some comments to make as well.
Go ahead.
And basically, we did review the existing drainage area to see how that was compared to the proposed drainage area to have the plan. And it does look like it is less going towards the Long Reagan and the pond. We did have some comments on one of the drainage areas that is going towards Turboville. But again, this is still pretty much preliminary. Once we get the final plans, then we might have existing drainage area and proposed drainage area. We have all the calculations, and they have to prove that they're not sending more water to the pond, at the time. So, but we're still, with the drainage area, we pretty much, it's, right here, it's sending less water towards Tuberville. So that's currently shown.
So, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're of the opinion that the drainage on this site is very manageable and it will have the added benefit of reducing surface area that now drains to the detention pond here. Is that what I heard you say?
Basically, there's less area going there. The thing is, once we do the calculations, they can show us, the difference between impervious area compared to right now, existing conditions, and then they can say exactly how much water is sending there compared to existing condition. And at that time, we can say definitely how much reduction or if it's the same amount of water going to that pond.
Okay.
But right now, we don't have all that information to go through.
Now, I'm just curious if you had a sense of this, if the drainage issue is very manageable. It appears it probably is. I just wondered if you gotten far enough into the numbers to know yet.
Right now, this is very conceptual, and that's what they do usually with the preliminary plats and rezoning. It's very conceptual, so we don't have all the information. We actually provide more information that is required for a preliminary plat or a rezoning.
Okay.
So,
And our mission at this point is to address, considering the change of zoning to PD. Okay, that's our main mission at this point. We're just trying to make sure that we're not walking ourselves into a corner that we're boxed in and can't engineer our way out of. That's all. Any other comments or questions? Do I hear a motion for approval of the request to change the zoning from SF3 and C1 to land development as indicated on item 2D of the agenda, D2 of the agenda?
And, Mr. Chairman, I might mention that, as you see, the engineer presented a letter with some conditions attached to that, or some changes that need to be made, so someone can make that motion recommending that, taking into consideration the recommendations made by the engineer that will be fulfilled.
Let me also address that too. Tim Spire sent a letter to us earlier today, and they addressed most of the comments. The only comment that we still need to coordinate is still the drainage, but that's something we can manage that with the final plat period. And so we recommend approval of the zoning, or at least preliminary plat.
Thank you, thank you. Do we hear a motion with conditional approval recommendation to the city council? Yeah. anything else to that?
With the conditions set forth.
With the conditions set forth with changes.
Okay. We have a motion on the table. We have a second.
I'll second.
Do we know what we think yet? All in favor? Moving on to the next item. Unanimous approval. Number 3. Consider and act on a recommendation regarding the preliminary plat for unclave the Hickory Creek H.H. Swisher Survey, abstract number 1220, 20.177 acres, Hickory Creek, Denton County, Texas. This is the preliminary plat.
Chairman, in the commission for the record, the line is still fires, fires in the area, it's 65, Coastal Road, Texas. We talked a little bit about this, the companion item. You can see the dimensions that are annotated on there, 62 by, most of them are 130 plus feet. There's kind of a trend. It seems that, the representatives from Union Homes can probably address this a little bit better than I do, but I do a lot of development all over the Metroplex, and there's obviously a trend for the deeper backyards, rather than the wide that people usually don't play on the side yards, they usually play in the rear yards. So that was kind of the idea on this, acreage for each area is very similar to the base, which we just talked about, but that shows annotated versions of everything. With regard to the utilities, we worked with Lake Cities on the offset sewer improvements. We're proposing to run a 12-inch sewer line, a couple thousand feet down to the east. There's an existing line down that way, which will make improvements, and it will actually serve a much greater drainage area basin than what we're draining there, and allow them to service more lots.
Talking about over here.
Yes, it'll actually extend about 1,500 feet further to the east, yes.
Okay.
So there's quite a bit there. The water's already in place, it's proposed from the development to the west, in front of the property, but there's existing water in the front, a lot of river there that we would tie into and leave the water. So the sewer's the biggest thing for us. There's quite a bit of offsite improvements to be made. What Lake Cities is proposing is that we remove the line that's already there. It's relatively deep. Put in an actual deeper line. Because what happens is it comes to a high point there at our drive on Turbotville, and basically the sewer is just useless because it comes out of the ground. It actually daylights based on the grade that it's on right now, so it won't serve stuff to the west unless you use a force main. And they're trying to get away from that. They want gravity as much as possible. That's traditionally what you do. So the sewer line would be deeper, it would be a larger line that would carry more capacity for development to the west as far and as well as to the northwest. So we've identified some the drainage area that it would serve. We're working through that developers agreement right now with Union Homes and Lake Cities.
How deep do you anticipate that line to be?
Well, they're to the east of Ronald Reagan, about maybe 700-800 feet. That's kind of the high point. That's where you go through the hill. So there's you come over the crest and you go back down to a low spot. And when it goes through that high point, it will probably about 30 feet deep. Now, as you go west, we're kind of bucking grade, and everything kind of pushes off this way. So we're getting shallower as we go west. And at our southwest property line, we're probably close to 10 feet deep at that location.
30 feet deep at the far east end.
At the far east end, where at the crest of the hill.
Does that mean Turbyville Road have to be shut down for a while in that section?
Now, everything's, that existing line, there's an easement to the north in Turbotville, quite a ways out there, there's a pretty large easement. It's all over there. So there's Turbotville, then there's kind of a tree line, and then the sewer line's on the north side of it.
Okay. I was just thinking about our waste line that's being just south of Derbyville is pretty deep. Storm line, yeah, shuts down the whole road as they build the Sept. Okay.
We are not anticipating closing the access to that.
That's good, because it keeps people happy. Any other questions?
So, just for my edification, these lot sizes support homes at about what size? Or just-
But I think we have a minimum size on there. I think I prefer one of the representatives from Union Homes address that, because I'm really not sure what they
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the
I
question.
just asked these lot sizes that you're going with, they're going to support size of homes, square footage of homes, what size you anticipating?
Sure. The minimum size that we put in the PD will be 2,100 square feet, but that's the one-story plan, the smallest one-story plan we have. So I believe with our options, depending on if the customers select game rooms and media rooms and stuff like that, it'll go all the way up to about 4,500 or 4,600 square feet. And probably the average would be somewhere in between those. So I would say the average is probably going to be over 2,000 square feet.
And the deeper lots are allowing for like pools and more living space in the backyard?
Yeah, I mean, we generally don't do the pool up front, but yeah, the pool, assuming your development code, I assume, allows for pools beyond the building line or whatever, as long as it's not in an easement or a utility area. So yeah, there should be enough room. Typically our homes, the depth of the homes will be about 70 feet, and our front setback is
25, 50, so 40 to, yeah, so there's probably
95, so you're talking 45 feet to 30 feet at least for the backyard, so there should be sufficient room.
most of about 35 probably.
Okay.
I've got a question for Lance. From the description of the home sizes he's indicated, is that something we want to contemplate putting on a plat as part of a, is this the right document for a deed restriction or something?
No, that wouldn't be, I mean, that could conceivably be part of the PD, minimum home size. The plan just shows the lot lines.
I think the minimum size is in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So the minimum is in there, and if folks want to go double that, then the law will support it, and I think that kind of speaks to the concept that it's a good lot size.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I would recommend if there's a motion for approval on this, that we also include the conditions set forth in the engineer's letter.
Okay. Any other questions? Have any comments?
No, I already got new comments with the zoning area, so as long as we discuss the drainage, we're okay with everything else.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Is there a minimum on that, you said 30-foot
Deep.
east, as it falls to the west, it becomes 10. Do we have to meet a minimum or maximum depth by the city? Do we want that pipe right up on the ground, or we need it deep?
Well, that would be something they coordinate with Lake City's municipal utility authority, for sure.
Those address that at the restoration phase.
Okay.
The state actually controls that depth, and it's usually 42 inches, but most design, you usually try to stay less than 4 feet deep as a minimum cover on any kind of sewer, any kind of utility like that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Do I hear a recommendation for approval of the preliminary plat contingent on engineering comments? Recommendation for council. This will be natural.
I'll make the motion.
Go ahead.
Move that we recommend council approving a preliminary plat for enclave of Hickory Creek HH Swisher Survey Abstract, 20.117 acres, Hickory Creek, Dayton County, Texas, to include comments by
I guess the August 17th letter.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, ABO 28707. I believe that's correct. Okay. Do I hear a second? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Next item. Number 4. Consider. Good. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Number 4, consider an act on a recommendation regarding a request for Crown Line Martin Engineering representing Mark Angeli, TCM Real Estate Investments, amending an existing PD on a 13.53 acre tract of property for the survey of the corporate limits of the town of Hickory Creek. Said property is particularly described as follows. A 1598 S.H. Jones Survey, Tract 20, 13.53 acres, Old DCAT, Tract 1B, Hickory Creek, Denton County, Texas. What we got in that proceeding?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Jeff Crown, Crown Martin Engineering, 2570 Justin Road, Howard Village, Texas. We're back.
With a better plan for you.
We have a better plan.
You've actually got some neighbors in the community that like it.
We have had some folks supporting us. I lost some hair on that last zoning case, so I want to get some back. We listened loud and clear, their comments, concerns, criticisms on the last plan. We went to work through just a miracle of engineering. We were able to draft our plan in front of you this evening. That is, I think, a significant improvement. We've got about 75% of the pond preserved. We did cut off a little tail that extends back up into us. That's the shallow area and the easiest area to take in. We did reduce the lot count from 43 to 40. We do generally follow the SF3 standards. All joining the adjacent property, we do have some smaller lots to the east that adjoin this non-residential property. So in order to keep our lot count somewhat at a level that the owner wouldn't shoot me, that we did reduce those lot sizes down and backing up to the east. So those are 60-foot wide by 120-foot deep. All the other lots are 9,000 or greater, specifically on that western side, and specifically bordering our neighbors to the west. So we were real sensitive to try to keep those lot sizes up. If you'll notice, those lots that do border the Lake Point, Lake View, are all over with and just larger lots on the end of those cul-de-sacs. So we try to be protective of that situation. So that's my whole speech this evening. I want to keep it short and sweet. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have and comments and concerns. But we like it. We listen to neighbors, and hopefully we can make this one work.
I'm looking at electronic, I presume a PDF that's been marked up in red. Do we know who marked this up in red?
That's it.
Well, this one doesn't have any marks on it. No red crayons on it.
Hold on, it's not coming up right here. I'd like to see what the marks are first.
Page 58 to 69.
It says correct lot sizes. It says can't be 7437. It says 60 by 120 is 7200. Do you want to come on up? Can you see it? Oh, okay. I'm just trying to understand what our intent of the comments are.
Basically, there's just a discrepancy between the zoning, the PD document, and the lot size. You can see right here that the 62 foot wide by 110 and 20. We're not taking that same square footage, and so we just have to check the square footages. And then address also the size on the side. Basically, it says 7 feet, good description, but that's, in parentheses, that are 6 feet. So just, it's minor cleanup, just, that it sounds like we got that addressed already, with the last note that they did, so everything looks good.
We did submit some revisions last week, so we should have cleaned all those up.
Are we talking about some typos here? Is that essentially what we have? Okay.
And they did submit revised plans, and they did address all those comments, those red lines.
So the red lines have been picked up?
Yep.
Okay. So I can ignore that. Good.
This end cul-de-sac is big enough for them to turn the fire truck. The end cul-de-sac is big enough for them to turn the fire truck around.
Yes, yes.
That was a major concern last time.
Has Chad Thiessen over at the fire department seen this plan?
We have sent to him, but we want to go meet with him personally.
Good.
And so this is a significant improvement. It's 300 feet shorter. So we like those numbers to start with. Plus the cul-de-sacs that extend back to the west, that's going to give us a great slot